Gary, what have you been up to?
Mostly.
Oh, jeez. Well, I don't know if we're going to talk about that, but hit us after the song. We'll. Oh God.
Maybe do it again. Do it again. Just listen again.
It's all with Mark Casey and Paula. It's all with Mark Casey and Paula.
Welcome to Horror with Marchese and Buller, and this is an episode, a quick one, really quick one, about what we're doing, in case you care about our writing careers, and you're not just looking at us as a YouTube sensation. This is what we're doing. So basically, Gary's got a few publications that he's been in, and I am going to be in, I'll say mine first because mine is quick. I was an editor in Trickster's Treats number 3. I'm happy to say, which I think all publications should be now, anonymous. So I didn't see the names of the people. I knew nothing about them. I just saw their story, and that was wonderful. It's coming out in October, and if you go to my Twitter, I will be posting pretty soon because October, Halloween is coming up very, very soon. Trickster's Treats number 3. I was actually number 1. Me and Gary were together in number 1. Gary left me in the competition episode and went to number 2, and I don't think I submitted for. Oh no, I did.
You did.
But I didn't have time to finish it. It was like something I was trying to do on the past episode that we just talked about. I was trying to do during my day job, and I didn't get it to where I wanted it. So I said, you know what? Let me just pull the trigger and see what happens. Sometimes you have to do that. It didn't work out. So this time around, Gary was telling me about it. They needed an editor. He told Steve Dillon I had edited prior anthologies. Things went on from there. So that's what I'm doing right now, besides editing Gary's expletives and trying to get my writing stuff done too. A lot of submitting.
Yeah, in terms of upcoming work, I've got a piece of flash fiction coming in Trickster's Treat Volume 3. Mine was edited by Kevin Knight Harrison. I didn't know at the time because, like you said, it was anonymous. He didn't know that it was my story. Trickster's Treats Volume 3 is split into Deadly Sins. Will would have edited a particular Deadly Sin. Kevin edited another, and mine was Sloth, so he was editing that. What's great about the Trickster's Treats anthology is it's an Australasian publication. Steve Dillon does wonderful things down there. He's done this one. It's the third one to a charity. I think this one's towards water. It provides good, clean, healthy drinking water for those in need. Produced some really good publications that I've also been in. The Things in the Well series is quite popular. I did kind of want to briefly talk about my last publication, if people are interested in just sort of seeing what I'm about and what I'm like as a writer. This one really surprised me actually because they paid $10 a story, which is obviously less than semi-pro rate, but the editing and the general experience I've had with this publication has been the best ever out of anyone that I've ever dealt with. It went through 3 stages of editing with 3 different people. The end result is something really polished. The publication is called The Weird and Whatnot. So I've got a copy of it here, which will also be on the thumbnail. The front cover is inspired by my story, which is also really cool because he didn't tell me that was going to happen. The front cover is done by an English artist. It's the clock that appears in my story, and this person here, I'm assuming, is the grandma in it. And there's some dark figures in the background which represent creatures. I cannot recommend The Weird and Whatnot enough. Yeah, it's just been a fantastic experience. The book itself is beautiful. You know, it's real. I love the illustration, the fact that it's clearly based on my story. I mean, look at that. That's a pretty cool illustration there.
Oh yeah.
That cost about $5. That.
It's not bad.
There's other little stories I've got in the pipeline. I have about 6 or 7 stories out there at the moment.
And I've started throwing them out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been, between editing the show and getting used to it, and other things, and then just it's some procrastination as well. I started going back into it as well.
Yeah, it's good, man. You need to start doing that again and get back into it. I mean, you need to start submitting. You know, don't be afraid to get it out there. You're going to get rejected, you know,
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah.
And someone's going to find your story and like it, you know.
I mean, some of the greats have been rejected 100+ times.
Absolutely.
Can't give up.
That's it. Yeah.
But on that note, we want to know what you think. Actually, no, that doesn't make sense, right? Well, yeah,
What-
yeah. What do you think? What do you think about?
What do you think about me? What do you think
about
I'm-
Gary?
Do you think I'm?
Do you think? Do you think we're both? Do you think this show? If so, please let us know what we can do to make it better.
Yeah.
And leave your comments below with those. No, don't leave anything negative, please.
Yeah, just only positive, please. I can't take it.
Unless the negative is
Yeah. Donuts. Yeah. Oh.
That looks nice. See you next time. No. No. I want to edit stories this week, not edit freaking curses. What is with you and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? I don't know. Chico's not impressed either. Chico! He's gotta work overtime this week. Hey, I said, yeah, he's gonna earn his money today. Oh, gosh,
It's all with Mark Casey and Buller. It's all with Mark Casey and Buller.
Yeah.
Gary. What have you been up to?
Mostly.
Oh, jeez. Well, I don't know if we're gonna talk about that, but hit us after the song. We'll. Oh
Yeah.
God.
Maybe do it again. Just ask me again.
I think that was perfect, actually. I think that was perfect.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to be in October. I was a Frozen. I was an editor. Number 3, right?
Yep.
And October, Halloween is coming up very, very soon, as you can see. Gary-
Oh,
for Gary.
nice.
I got the candy corns that I've been eating, and they have the pumpkin spice already, the creamers. So Halloween's almost here, and you're gonna have to pick up.
What is it?
It's a chocolate donut, Gary. But this is not just a regular chocolate donut.
Yeah.
This is chocolate donut from Entenmann's.
Nice. You're making me hungry, man. As soon as I'm finished here, actually, I'm going to grab a sandwich. I'm really hungry. I had a burrito for the tea as well, which is really bad. Well, I made a homemade burrito.
Oh yeah.
Really nice. Yeah, it was good.
I just need some sugar for outside. Yes,
Absolutely.
can't give up.
That's it. Yeah, definitely. So that's me. So that's me. That's me done.
Smee.
My-
Wait,
That's
Smee.
Smee.
I'm Smee. What about Smee? No, remember from what was that movie?
Peter Pan.
Yeah, the remake with Robin Williams.
Yeah.
But on that note, the end. That's at the end on it.
The weird.
Oh, the weird. Yes,
Weird and whatnot.
that's
Yes.
what we are. We are the weird.
Oh my
And-
god.
You know, I'm gonna do a video on how hard it is to cut the audio out, so it's clean, so I can still hear the other words you're saying and then the curse word, and then because it's like these bubbles I have to pull.
Sorry, you really tickled me that. Sorry, go on.
Gary, what have you been up to? I think in this day and age where everybody's getting up in arms about politics and everything, what we should do is have it anonymous, so there's no mistaken and there's no animosity or someone thinking that they're being prejudiced against. On that note,
This is a really strange story for me because we were talking about in the last episode about work, and I was saying how I had a lot of free time in my previous job. One evening, I had a nightmare, and I don't often have nightmares. I usually sleep really well, but this one was really, really strange. The lasting image was this clock, a clock face, sort of hammered into a wall, hammered into like really old floral wallpaper on a wall somewhere.
yeah.
And there was no mechanism behind the clock. It was literally just the hands and the Roman numerals, just hammered into wallpaper. There was nothing behind it. But this clock worked. And in this nightmare that I had, I dreamt that I was in my grandmother's bedroom. Because when we were children, sometimes we'd stay over at my grandparents' house, and my grandma and granddad would sleep in the spare room, and we'd sleep in because it was me and my sister, and then my brother later on. We slept in their big king-size bed, but the room was always really stuffy and really warm, and I was often really uncomfortably cozy. It was a really warm bed, and the bed sheets were always really thick. So you'd wake up in the middle of the night and you'd just be swelteringly hot, At the same time, the bed always creaked and groaned when you moved. So it was like, I was always afraid of waking my grandparents up, by literally just turning over. So you had this weird sort of claustrophobic feeling where you had a big thick cover on you and it was warm and you didn't want to move. And this sort of played a little bit in the nightmare. I was in my grandmother's bed and it was really, really warm. And there was this clock on the wall, and the clock was moving, and then suddenly it sort of started going. The second hand started going really slow, and you could hear something above in the room, which was the attic above, and you could hear footsteps coming down the stairs in this nightmare. And then these creatures came. There was like a sliding door into the bedroom, like one with a wheel on top, and you just sort of pull it to the side, and like a screen door or whatever you want to call it. And these they looked a bit like the Dementors from Harry Potter or something, but in my nightmare they were like absolutely terrifying. They were like the worst thing ever. They were worse than Harry Potter. And they sort of moved in slow motion. The robes were sort of moving like they were underwater or something. And anyway, long story short, I stood up and pulled the covers off, and the bed sort of creaked, and downstairs my grandma's voice came up to me saying, "Get to sleep, what are you doing awake? Get to sleep, it's late, Gary, it's past your bedtime." And I tried to shout at her, but nothing had come out of my mouth. It was like, obviously in one of these nightmare states, these weird things happen, don't they?
Yeah.
Anyway, I reached out and I grabbed one of these things and I pulled it, and it was really papery and light, and it sort of turned inside out like an umbrella when I grabbed it. And it was sort of tugging away at me, and it was screeching, and I could feel its screeches sort of vibrating through my bones. And as you could probably tell from the way I'm describing it, it was quite a vivid nightmare. It was really weird. And when I woke up, I was like, it was really scary. And that clock just stuck in my mind, and I sort of went back to sleep, woke up the next morning, went into work, and I was looking at the clock because obviously it was lunchtime, and I'd done all the work that I needed to do. So I think that clock just came into my mind again, and I started writing down basically what had happened in the nightmare. And that became a story called Sleepover at Grandma's, which is this one in this magazine, The Weird and Whatnot. I'll just try and find the other page. It's the first story in here, and it's also so that there's the actual sort of the front page. And I just laid the words down, and I changed it from a male to a female character, and I wasn't on my own. The female character was with her sister, her older sister in it. But it was the same situation. So being in a stuffy, warm room with the covers over you and being afraid to move. And then at the same time, there's this weird thing going on outside and around you. And I'm claustrophobic anyway, so it's sort of that it makes me shudder just thinking about, you know, being under these warm covers and not wanting to move.
And see, that's a perfect example of what we were talking about last week about drawing from what you know. You know,
yeah, exactly.
You actually used a situation or a nightmare in this case perfectly.
Absolutely, and lots of it's we saw melding bits of my life experience together, because although most of it was the bed and the grandparents and staying over and stuff was at my paternal grandparents. The voice, my maternal grandmother used to babysit us at home sometimes, and she was the one that used to scream upstairs, "Get to bed, it's late." You know, "What are you doing awake?" Because me and my sister used to cause hell, you know, late at night, not going to sleep, running around the bedroom, you know. So we used to share a bedroom up to a certain age, and you know, her voice was the voice I thought of, and the voice that came to me in the nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, "Get to sleep." You know, she had quite a screechy sort of throaty voice, my maternal grandmother. And so I've sort of melded this together and got this story out of it, and I think it's the weirdest thing that I've ever written, and it's, you know, it's the creepiest thing I've ever written as well, because I've expanded on the experience, and I've fleshed out a little bit, so there's a reason why. What's that? Is it a donut?